I've got a wood stove in my shop, but I have that in case I'm too lazy to start a wood fire. I'll keep that on low flame, keep it
Is
thawed
everybody?
out.
What about roads?
Mike,
Yeah.
you got one?
No, they're not efficient and you can definitely tell when it's been running for a while.
Right, we're missing some people, but it's 6 o'clock, so we'll get the monthly meeting of Stark County Board of Supervisors. We'll call it to order. Start out with roll call. Okay, very good. Would everyone stand then for a silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there comes Mr. Eckstein. Okay, you all have been given an agenda. I've looked for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Wadle. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Urban. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And you were sent the minutes of the November 7th, 2023 regular monthly meeting and the 2024 budget public hearing. Is there a motion to accept those minutes? Motion by Mr. Peterson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Bossard. Is there any comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we didn't have anyone sign up for public comments and we have no unfinished business. So we'll go into new business, reports and presentations. The County Administrator's monthly report. Melissa Bingle.
Hello. So just a couple announcements. So this Thursday, we will not be having a buildings and grounds meeting, just a reminder, just so, I know it's sometimes in everyone's calendar, so I just wanted to remind you of that. And we will be having our Martin Luther King Jr. training day here at the courthouse. So HR and Ruth, myself, will be putting an agenda together so we can do another training day that day. So that's January 15th. On January 16th, we are going to, that's County Board Day. They are going to be having a EMS grand opening. Details are to come, but I believe they're going to do 2 to 5. And Mary is going to be helping us with some kind of putting it together agenda. And Keith is excused tonight. He's got some, I think, a Christmas concert, so I excused him. But we'll be getting that out to you. And also that day on January 16th, I'll be taking the department heads over to the government center for their first tour. They haven't been through. A couple departments have been able to go over there, but we want to be able to get them in before they start installing furniture, which will be January 22nd. We were told today, so they'll start that January 22nd. And the highway department is on schedule. February is still the target date, and Brian will work on the grand opening for that with his committee. And then I just wanted to say thank you to the county board. We did our employee appreciation luncheon last week, and Rosie and Natalie, Michelle Olson, all helped putting that together, and just a lunch that is done each year. So I just wanted to thank you for allowing us to do that again this year. And admin and the entire county is going through a little bit of a transition through Tyler with employee self-service and a new timekeeping system and a new payroll system. So right now there's lots of questions, and we're working on getting all of everyone's accrual banks of vacation time off, all of that into the system. So, there's some growing pains, but we're getting through it, and hopefully by March we'll have all kinks worked out and smooth sailing in Tyler. That's my hope. And next month, the finance team will be meeting with each department on the year-end 2023 to see where we ended in our budgets and to go through that with departments as we start to begin to plan for next year, as we're working with the strategic plan committee and the capital improvement planning process and getting a little bit more deep into that. And with the strategic plan right now, the sheriff's department is working hard on theirs. They've got theirs set up into 5 segments because they have quite an operation. So we're looking forward to moving forward on the strategic plans, but it sounds like it's going fairly smoothly. And last but not least, I wanted to thank the ladies here from GIS, the Treasurer of Finance, here to answer any of your questions about all the questions you may be getting about your tax bills in your area. So if you have any questions of me now or of them, feel free to fire away.
Does anybody have any questions? I did ask Jess and Steph, I guess if they could just maybe run through quickly the difference in mill rates or why there's a difference in mill rates between the different townships and municipalities. I don't know if anybody's been getting any questions. I suppose it depends on if they went up or not, but if they could just real quickly go through that. I know the explanation they gave last year presentation pretty well lays all that out, but it just isn't, it's not bad to get refreshed on some of that. So.
Yeah, so I did send out that mill rate comparison to you guys on December 8th, comparing what the mill rates were for our county portion per municipality. And I did highlight that 9 municipalities did go down from last year. And these mill rates are dependent on our levy amount and then the total assessed value and then the equalized value. So mill rates will go up or down depending on what that equalized value is per municipality. So for example, we've had 6 municipalities have a full assessment revaluation. And so Town of Marion was one of them. And their piece of the pie for our county portion went down slightly from last year, which was 13.72 down to 13.38. Whereas all the 4 of the revaluation townships actually went up. So it's hard to give a one-word answer as to what will increase or decrease mill rates, but it all comes down to assessment values and the mill rates. Equalized value plays a big part. And then I think, John, you had asked, with the revaluations, just because they're being revaluated does not mean that they're going to go up or down, and it won't necessarily affect the mill rate. So it's, unfortunately, I can't give just a one-word answer to fix all of the questions. But really the tax bills are a case-by-case kind of solution because there's just too many variables. But yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Anything to add?
Does anybody have any other follow-up questions or anything you'd want to know? Dream Team is here now, so.
Does the county tax based on assessed value or on fair market value?
So the tax calculation itself is off the total assessed value, not the fair market value. So the county's portion, our levy amount, takes into account of our equalized value, which if from our conversation is close to fair market value. So I don't think it's a 1-to-1, but it's close. And that value we get from the state. So for example, Marion, their piece of the pie for the county is 13.38% for this year. And that's just because they've got more of the total assessed values there. And the state told Sarah, you've got 13% in this municipality. So that's how their levy amount is factored out. I might have just confused everybody so much more. Does that make a little sense in terms of how the equalized value, which is determined by the state, affects the levy amount, which is then creates our mill rate, which then multiplies by our total assessed value to get your tax amount. Clear as mud.
Doesn't the school tax by fair market value?
So that's, yep.
So, so it is similar to, it's actually a school district has the same process that the county does. So again, the state sets the equalized values. So the municipalities that are within that school district, the state ultimately tells them what their values are. And then again, it's the same process for tax calculation. So again, taxes are based on the total assessed value of that entity divided by the levy will give you the mill rate. So again, it is the equalized value that does play a factor in the school district taxes. And then to muddy up the waters a little bit too, each school district gets like a general aid payment from the state, but when the state looks at the equalized value and they say, okay, the town of Marion increased, that has a higher value, they don't need as much of a state aid credit. So then the school district's budget or levy then is passed on to the taxpayers within the district. So if, the state aid goes down, then the taxpayers are ultimately paying that difference. Right, regardless if there's a referendum. And then like Tri-County School District, for example, they had almost $1.5 million referendum this year. So we've seen people whose tax bills went up $700, $1,200, but a lot of it is because of the school referendum. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for putting together all that information ahead of time, early December, because it really came in handy as I was circulating through our communities. I was able to answer several questions just based on the information that you gave us ahead of time. So I'm just really grateful for that.
Yep, that really, really has helped. So good. Thank you. Any other questions while they're here? Otherwise, good enough. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. All right. That's it for your report then, Melissa. All right, very good. Then we'll move into the UW Extension Annual Report with the Area Extension Director, Pat Wagner, and the department staff.
So when I do this report, I'm Pat Wagner. I'm the Area Extension Director. I serve Area 14. I did leave on your desk, and we have a PowerPoint tonight, a handout, because some of the things are a little small, and then that way you have that as a reference later. I am here once a month and I do things with the staff, but you see the staff in the county, so I think it's important that you hear their report. So I will let them speak to what we do here in Waushara County as part of Extension, the Division of Extension through UW-Madison. All right.
I know many of you, but for those that don't know me, I'm Heidi Hensel-Buntrock, and I am the 4-H educator, and I have been in this position since 2016. When I started, 4-H enrollment was around 280. Just prior to COVID, 4-H enrollment in Waushara County had gotten up to 295. And then COVID hit, and the next year our enrollment went down to 250. So I'm really happy to report that this past year our enrollment hit 300, and that's an all-time record. Right now, the enrollment is at like 290, 291, but new families do have until March 1st. So I am 100% certain that I will surpass this past year's record of 300 members. So it definitely is a growing program in Waushara County. Some of the programming that I have done this past year, and I've got some photos there. I held 2 project discovery days this past winter. Youth come to explore different projects, Sewing Saturday, demonstration contest, a foods review, art camp. And as I go back to this previous slide, art is our project with the highest enrollment. So that was one of the things I started in 2022 as an all-day art camp at the fairgrounds. And this past year, it was an all-day event where the youth rotated through 5 different sessions. And I think I had about 80 participants, and that's that photo on the bottom right-hand corner. And as I jump to the fair, I'll talk a little bit about the outcomes of that art camp. Also, Cloverbud camps that are geared specifically to the kindergarten through 2nd graders, some other things that I've got listed up there. This summer, we moved our 4-H camp to Camp Lakota with a theme of Spark the Possibilities. That's a theme this year in 4-H, is really helping those youth to uncover that spark that they have, be it in whatever project they are interested in. And we had a record number attending the 4-H camp between our 5 counties. We brought 174 youth and adults to camp. Of that, we had 54 from Waushara County. So a really good turnout, very good feedback. So this year in 2024, we are going back to Camp Lakota and hoping to have a record turnout again. John, one of your great nieces are in the middle photo. That was a service learning project. One night we always take and we do something to give back to the community. That was, and I think some of you in the courthouse donated t-shirts, and we made bags, and I think we made about 200 of those. I gave them to Patty Miller, and she's part of a project that shipped them to Africa, and they use them for the youth there to put supplies in, school supplies. Educational experiences, we had youth participate in the different experiences. And county fair, I guess it's kind of a good problem to have, but this year, because of many of those camps, if any of you went in the youth expo, it was overflowing. The woodworking projects were all crammed together. We had large picnic tables, outdoor furniture, and it was all crammed together. The art in that building is also overflowing. Things could not be displayed properly. So Guy and I had spent much of Sunday afternoon walking through the fair. So this year, we're going to be flipping the buildings. The very north building, which is the commercial building, will now house all of the youth exhibits that were in the Youth Expo. So those 2 buildings are going to be flip-flopping. Also, we've got a record number of clubs that are doing the booths, and we don't even have enough booth space. So we will be enlarging the booths in that new build, or that very north building. I also do an A+ after school program at the Riverview and Red Granite schools, also at Parkside during the summer, and at the various libraries throughout the county. I do STEM activities, and then also in the summer, I go to each of the libraries and do a project and a lesson focused around the theme. 4-H ambassadors, I've got about 15 youth in that 8th grade through high school. They're really trying to grow their leadership roles. And over the Christmas break, I'm going to be having our kickoff meeting for the year, and we basically plan the events that we will be doing. This past year, we added a new event, which was Wild Rose Days, and the youth led the games there. And part of the real cool thing about that is we're able to promote 4-H, hand out pencils and stickers and information on how to enroll. So that's all I had. Any questions? Thank you.
One of our staff people retired in June. That was Mary Ann Schilling. You might remember her. Her emphasis was health and well-being. And I guess I have to do the clicker. And so her emphasis, she left us in the middle of June. Again, she worked on projects related to health and well-being, as well as human development relationships. Some important things for you to note about her programming was that she brought evidence-based and research-based programming to families and residents of Waushara County around the areas of healthy behaviors, stress management, working on financial capability as well. She worked with committees like REACH, and the Waushara County Prevention Council. I'm just giving you a little synopsis of what she did. But again, here's Mary Ann. She's in the right-hand picture there on the left. That was our staff person. Visited Waushara villages, did things with libraries, also worked at the after-school program to bring programming there, and did some things with Strong Bodies, which is a program for individuals who are looking to build some strength and some stability. And again, she was working with the REACH program. So Mary Ann left us in June, and we're looking at staffing changes as Melissa and I look at some opportunities for needs in Waushara County. Mary Ann also did some things related to financial coaching and worked on a project on universal child savings accounts. So try to bring that information here to the state of Wisconsin. And I'll let the ag people talk.
Good evening. My name is Natasha Paris, and I am the Regional Crops Educator for Green Lake, Marquette, Waushara, and Adams counties. I recognize many faces. This is my second year in this position. I have been here a year and a half now. And so in 2022, we began this transition into the regional model in which we have specialized staff that focus on one topic area and serve a larger geographic area. So that's why you'll hear from two agriculture people tonight, myself and my colleague Adam, who will follow me. And so we have two regional educators covering this area, and then not specifically contracted to any county, but also covering this region due to our agricultural landscape. We have a commercial vegetable agricultural water quality outreach specialist who's based in Stevens Point, but definitely works with a lot of growers here in Waushara County. And then statewide, we have a great network of farm management, dairy, horticulture, and educators that are across counties and statewide appointments. And they are available to the agriculture community of Waushara County. And we also, of course, have our campus faculty specialists that we work very closely with. So kicking off my second year with this position, I was really able to develop my programming and being able and work to make things happen. And so one thing that I did this year was I kicked off a series called the Hancock Highlights. You know, we are so fortunate to have the Hancock Research Station here in our county. And I really think that sometimes it gets overlooked as to what a gem it is. And so I've started hosting small field days where we highlight the research that gets done there that isn't about potatoes, because we know potatoes are great. They are a lifeblood of our community, but there's so many other crops that matter. And there's so much other research being done at the station that doesn't get talked about either. And so I'm starting to host these small field days, and I hope that some of you will consider joining us in 2024. I hosted a soybean education day in Green Lake in January that was very well attended. Part of my job is to write publications. So you see up top, that's a true armyworm. We had this year with the drought, we had an infestation of true armyworm very early in the season. So I helped write a publication on what to look for and how to manage those. You'll see that large Excel spreadsheet there. That's just a screenshot of the 500 herbicides that I read labels for this year. And I filled out that spreadsheet for every single one. And that talks about rotations. And so I will actually be previewing that information, and that publication will become available. I'm hosting a weed management day, February 16th in Montello. And then the picture on the bottom is actually of my farm in Green Lake County, but you can note that the pasture looks a little sad because I don't know if you remember, there was a drought this year. And so we spent a lot of our summer talking about drought in pastures, drought in corn, drought in soybeans, drought. And we're still in a drought. And so be very aware of that as we go into 2024, because I guess I'm probably going to keep talking about drought. And then direct education, you'll see our friend Sarah Stelter right there. I held an event at her farm where we talked about soil health in vegetable systems. I gave a talk actually at the National Conference for Agriculture Educators. And I work a lot with our Amish growing community, mostly down in Green Lake, Marquette County. They grow a lot of vegetables for fresh market purposes, and I help them with diagnosing disease issues. Finally, another portion of my job is to do research. And so I help with on-farm research. You see some soybeans that got hit with herbicide, a little hard right there. I'm part of the nitrogen optimization pilot program projects. So that's why you see that very stripy corn there. We're looking at different rates of corn, different products in optimizing nitrogen in corn. And then the final picture is me at the Hancock station where we're looking at Colorado potato beetles and whether or not we can hear them with a microphone on a plant. And finally, I get to do a lot of great professional development thanks to the support of our counties and our university. So the center picture is our faculty and our fabulous staff at the Hancock Station who do so much great work to help our agriculture grow. And then on the On the left there is Dr. Temple Grandin. You may have heard of her. She's pretty famous. She came to Stevens Point, and I got to MC an event and learn from her and several others in the grassland management community. And then finally, the last picture, you see some very tall corn there. That is actually at the Living Museum of Corn at the Pioneer headquarters in Iowa, where I got to visit as part of the National Conference for Ag Educators. And we learned about corn around the world and the history of corn. All right, hand it over to Adam.
Thank you, Natasha, and good evening, everyone. You might notice I'm a new face in Waushara County. I started in May as the regional livestock educator, specifically specializing in beef cattle. I come from Iowa, but I was raised in Waupaca County. So I'm just happy to be here and happy to be able to be back home. So in the first 7 months that I've been here, focused on livestock education. So I started out by going to the fair, as you see there on the left, making a display, partnered with Natasha on this to kind of get my name out there and be able to meet producers, not only in Waushara County, but Adams County and Green Lake County as well. As well as making publications. You see a chute side cooler there on the top. Used for handling vaccines, keeping needles away while we're processing cattle through a chute system. Being able to make stuff like that, make that available to our producers in the area, and just being able to call on them and do farm visits, and just becoming more aware and familiar with what production looks like here in Waushara County, as well as the surrounding counties as well. Was also able to do different tools, fact sheets. You'll see on the next slide here to make a recommendation needle size chart. So when we're giving vaccines and handling cattle for our producers that may be looking for that stuff, or maybe are mismanaging vaccines when they are handling their cattle. Some outreach and events that I've been able to do in my short time here is attend farm technology days with the rest of the UW livestock team. You see that in the picture on the left. I apologize, the color of the picture is a little off based on the tent you see above there. But I was in Baraboo this summer, and I was able to introduce myself and meet many producers that came down to farm technology days there in Baraboo. So that was, really beneficial to meet those new folks and the producers in the area. So just looking forward into the future, some events that I've planned. January 11th, we're going to have an event at Signature Farms, which is just over the border there in Adams County. And I do have flyers, registration forms for those of you that are interested, and I'll leave those on the front table here. And we partnered with Wisconsin River Meats, as well as Lodi Vet Clinic and other livestock specialists for UW to give producer education as far as winter feeding and forages, and raising replacement heifers, and then as well as vet client patient relationships, castration, and other important things when we're talking about beef production. Another event that Natasha and I are going to be hosting here in Waushara County, right here actually downstairs on the 18th, is going to be on grazing and soil health. Natasha's going to speak on that, and I'm going to talk about the importance of keeping your cattle healthy and in good condition over winter, and what things we can do to progress our cattle forward into the spring. So we're getting healthy calves and making sure our mama cows are good to go for the calving season and beyond. As well, other things I'm focusing on is webinar series. The livestock team as a whole is going to offer a Beef 101 class, which is going to be a virtual online class for anybody in the state. And that's going to be for producers who are just getting into beef cattle production, those folks that maybe only have 40, 60, 80 acres, but want to raise cows on there, what they need to do to get started, what kind of things they need to look for, marketing, cattle health, you name it. It's going to be included in that webinar series, which will be free. And I think that's going to benefit especially folks in Waushara County, folks that maybe are ex-dairy producers that are looking to still use their facilities, and that sort of thing is going to be really beneficial for them. And again, that's going to be at a free cost. So you can't beat that. Other different things that I've been doing, different publications, articles you may see in the Argus. And also we have a Wisconsin Extension livestock page that I will you can link to the QR code here, or just visit livestockextension.wis.edu to see different publications, stuff that we're writing about. Like Natasha touched on, the drought, forage availability for this last fall, as well as in this coming spring, what things to look forward to. All that good information is there. So I'd just like to extend a thank you for all of you for having me and letting me do my passion in beef cattle and helping the producers here in Waushara County, as well as Green Lake and Adams. So
Hello, my name is Lacey Monroe. I'm the FoodWise coordinator for Marquette, Green Lake, and Washera County. I was hired September 1st, so I don't have a ton of information about my year-end report. So I gave a little background of FoodWise and what it is. FoodWise, my position is federally funded by SNAP Ed, which is a supplemental nutrition assistance program. So my target audience are low-income families and schools that meet the 50% free and reduced lunch rate. And just teaching about nutrition education. So I've really been working on creating partnerships in the county, and I have a lot of events already on the calendar for the next year. One of the partnerships is with the A+ after school program. I have a number of events at Parkside, Red Granite, and Riverview to be doing programming there. I'm also hosting a tasting event with the Hornet Market at Parkside, which is going to be a really great event where we make a lentil vegetable soup recipe. And we are inviting families to come, and they're able to take home all the ingredients to make that soup at home. We're also going to make a snack with the kids. And then some other things that I do is I've helped the Washera County Food Pantry with just some flyers about food safety during Thanksgiving, how to thaw a turkey, how long to cook a turkey, etc. And that is what I have for you. Do you have any questions for us?
Anybody have any questions for any of the educators? Or Pat, too, you're an educator as well, but anyway, thank you. It's very, very good report.
Thank you very much for your time.
Pat, thank you. Okay, very good. We'll move into then the District Attorney's Office Annual Report with District Attorney Matthew Lissing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Lusink. I'm the district attorney. I've been now the district attorney since January of 2021. So our staff consists of myself, and then I finally have two assistant district attorneys again. We just filled the most recent vacancy in November. So Josh Zamzo and then Daniel Ditter are my two assistant district attorneys. And then Jennifer Kern and Sarah Witz are my paralegals. And then Donna Claviter is our victim witness coordinator. And then we have an investigator, John Weismuller. So these are some of the things that our office does. Basically, any criminal offenses that occur within Washera County, we prosecute. Can be either by the police departments or by state agencies. We will occasionally handle special prosecutions. I handled one that I recently closed out in Sheboygan County, and then prosecution of traffic, county ordinance violations. They mostly come from the sheriff's department, but now some of the municipalities also have our office prosecute the OWI first offenses. Watoma does now, and Wild Rose does as well. And then providing legal advice to law enforcement and trainings. We just had a training that went on a couple of weeks ago on report writing and on trial testimony. And then our office also takes part in the treatment court. I am primarily the attorney that handles that, although one of my assistants does fill in occasionally. So some of the trends that we had between this year and last year. So last year, in terms of filings, we slowed down a little bit at the end of the year. Part of that reason is because from September 9th until January 30th of this year, I was the only prosecutor within the office. We actually had vacancies at both of our positions. I was able to fill one of them at the end of January, and that kind of goes with our staffing issues. We picked up a little bit from 2022 to 2023. There's been a similar number of cases filed and a similar, slightly less number of jury trials, but kind of on par with how it's been the last couple of years. The big issue, I think, really has been the methamphetamine presence. In terms of staffing issues, just to give you an idea, it's been an issue throughout the state. Really since about 2019. And so with my second ADA position, the attorney I hired is the only full-time applicant I got the entire year, and I just hired him. I offered it to him in October, and he started in November. So that kind of gives you an idea of there just aren't a lot of applicants out there. It's a lot different from when I was a young ADA. When I applied to vacancies, you had about 40 applicants. And it's about the same pool of 10 people that were getting interviews for all of the positions. And now it's kind of the other way around. The ADAs that apply, they get to choose from different counties offering them jobs. We have two courtrooms now. We have two judges. Judge Blader took over in August of 2022, which is after my last presentation. That does present challenges, obviously, because now we have caseloads in 2 different courts that we have to keep track of. We are starting to experiment with having some days where we have cases taking place at the same time in both of the courtrooms. It's really going to start going full force once we get into the new courthouse. But we're experimenting with that. We have a couple of days where I've said, okay, we can double book during those days. So that gives you an idea of the criminal cases filed. As you'll see on the next page, though, the actual top line, our felony cases, there's not a ton of variation in what they are, but we had a lot going back in 2018. I think that was mainly with the misdemeanor caseload. So it's gone down. It went down a lot in 2020. There were a bunch of different factors. It increased in 2021, dropped a little bit in 2022. Part of that was the staffing issues. We still have a couple of weeks left, and we're already above what we were at for the entirety of 2022. I anticipate, just because we'll have some dead time in the office the next couple of weeks, I anticipate we're going to break 600 in the amount of criminal cases that we file for this year. So then you look at the felonies. There really isn't a ton of variation. There was a big drop in 2020, but then it went up in 2021 after COVID, and we'll be very close to what it was in 2021 this year if we don't meet that. And then I always like to keep this for comparison. 2000, we only filed 97 felony cases. So definitely a lot of change has gone on and what's going on in the county over the last 20 years. And I don't think it's because the office has suddenly got more aggressive. I think it's just been a change in the types of cases that get sent to us. Obviously, 20 years ago, there were some types of cases that didn't really exist then. Because of how technology was back then. So obviously this is something we focus a lot on, our drug cases. And our 2 main ones that we have here are methamphetamine and marijuana, kind of same as the last couple of years. What I noticed from the trends between last year and this year, so far we filed 64 cases that have some sort of methamphetamine charge. That's an uptick. The marijuana is a little bit down, but still 66 cases. A lot of these though, one of the things I noticed that there are a lot of people, if they have one, they have the other. It's not, people don't just select one drug of choice. So a lot of the people that have methamphetamine, they also had marijuana with them. So the other drugs, we have some. We had a couple of cocaine possessions. There was one gentleman that had a charge for possession with intent to deliver fentanyl. There's little to no heroin, and that's on par with what we've seen. Methamphetamine is really the dangerous drug of choice for a lot of the individuals here. Some ways we've tried to address that is going after some of the people that get caught dealing. We've gotten some prison sentences for some people dealing methamphetamine that I was satisfied with. And then the other area is then impaired driving. So we had 51 criminal OWI cases go through our office this year. And by that, I mean it was referred this year and we've prosecuted them. And then once you factor in, because first offense OWIs are not a crime, it's about 120. I would note, I know it's an item of debate whether or not OWI should be criminal or non-criminal. What I will say is that in Wisconsin, as in Waushara County, we actually have a higher conviction rate for first offense OWIs than a lot of states have. There are a lot of states that will resolve them with deferred prosecution agreements and with amending it to reckless driving, like if you go to Illinois. But even though we don't treat first offense OWI as a crime, we still get convictions on it, which I think is a good thing. And a lot of people after their first offense do not re-offend. We did have one OWI homicide resolved this year. It happened in, I believe, June of last year up in the Bloomfield area. And that did result in a prison sentence. We have one pending traffic homicide that's working its way through where there are charges pending. We also have one overdose homicide where charges are currently pending. I always give the standard disclaimer, though, that they're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And then, so drug driving is becoming more of an issue. There's a lot of different, obviously THC is getting, more widely used. And so last year we had 17 RCS, restricted controlled substance cases, and that can be marijuana, it can be methamphetamine. Those are the two we normally see. It could be cocaine, drugs like that. We've had 11 this year, a slight drop off, but not one where I'd say, oh, it's significant. One of the things that has happened this year is that the hygiene lab has gotten a little bit more efficient at getting us our blood results back. It was taking more than a year to get the results of blood testing from the hygiene lab back in 2022. They're starting to get better at it. It still is probably longer than it should be, but they are getting better. So we're able to resolve those cases a lot quicker. So jury trials is obviously another large portion of what we do. So just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on since I started here. So our office handled 10 jury trials in 2021. I believe that year I handled 8 of them. My assistant handled 2 of them. And then 2022, we wound up having 14 jury trials. I handled 10 of them, and then my assistant handled 4 of them. And then it broke down. Most of those wound up being felony cases that went to a jury trial. We had one misdemeanor and then a couple of traffic ones as well. And then we had 10 this year. I handled 9 of them, and my assistant handled 1. And again, it is majority of those were felonies. 3 misdemeanor cases as well. Some of the notable ones I think that we did, March, I did a jury trial for repeated acts of child sexual assault that did wind up ending in a conviction. He's serving a lengthy prison sentence now. Then an OWI 4th, a jury trial in May, and then a domestic strangulation in June. Those were the ones that really stood out to me. But I would note that any jury trial we do is important. It's important to the people that are involved with it, to law enforcement. And even jury trials that I lose, they can be beneficial to me because I can always develop my skills as an attorney. I'm always learning about things I can do a little bit better. So just some of the things that are planning ahead. Obviously, we're changing locations like everybody else in a few months. We're have a plan in place coordinating that with different parties, and then training the assistant DAs. Like I said, one of my assistants started in November, so there's still a lot to be done. But even my assistant that's been here for 11 months, I think he's still got some work to do. Obviously, you don't become a seasoned prosecutor overnight, so I think he still has a ways to go. I'm satisfied with where he's at, but we're still going to be working on that. So anybody have any questions about any facets of what our office has been doing?
Anybody have any questions for Matt?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Can you speak to your opinion of the importance of body cams?
Well, obviously, it's a decision that doesn't necessarily involve me. I've dealt with agencies that have body cams. I've dealt with agencies that have squad cams. Right now in Waushara County, it's a divide because obviously the sheriff's department has squad cam. Some of the city departments have body cam. I mean, they each have their advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes the view, like if you're prosecuting OWIs, it can actually be better from a squad camera because you're getting a much fuller view of what's going on. But there's also advantages to having body cam as well. The audio quality tends to be better, and sometimes you can see close-up interactions. What I will say, squad camera and body camera, they are not the cure-all, though, because there's still issues you're going to come up with. They're not going to capture everything that's going on. They're fixed, so they're not moving around to see the whole range of view that law enforcement has. And the audio quality is not always great. From my experience, I did a lot of OWI prosecutions when I was in Walworth County. If you have a windy night, it's very hard to hear stuff because that wind blowing into that microphone, it amplifies it to no end. So certainly body cam has its advantages. I'm not going to render an opinion as to whether or not an agency should have that versus squad cam. They both have their advantages, and they can also have their disadvantages as well. Certainly some form of camera is better than not having that'd be my opinion on that.
All right, thank you.
It's good to know. Any other questions for Matt? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then our next report is the Information Technology Department Annual Report with our IT Director, Barry West.
Hi, my name is Barry West. I'm the IT director. Most of you know who I am, and this is my first actual report, so it's interesting, but it's not going to be as cool as everybody else's because we deal with some technology stuff, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. So we have a staff of 2, myself and my assistant Jacob. Most of you have had interactions with him. He's very good at what he does. Just to touch base on a few accomplishments that I have here. I'm the president of the Child Caring Incorporated Board of Directors, which is a resource and referral organization that covers a 9-county. Waushara County is one of the counties that is involved in that. I was asked to be part of that several years ago as they wanted someone with some IT perspective into that. So I have 2 more years after this year to be on that, and then I'll be off of that. So if you know anyone in Waushara County that's interested in being part of that organization, we're looking for that later on. I'm also the president of GIPAW organization, which is the Governmental Information Processing Association of Wisconsin. So it's all the IT directors and people. It's not just directors, but it's IT people from the entire state of Wisconsin. We get together a couple times a year to have conferences and network together. We work with some vendors and some other things. We also have a big network of forum that we discuss things with, and we can reach out to each other because it's always good not to have to reinvent the wheel. If you can, if someone has already done it and can do it better, it's good to have that coordination. I am in the building project coordination with Melissa and John and Ben, and we meet 3 times a month with the building people to talk about the projects. That'll be coming to an end hopefully sometime in 24, and we'll actually be moved into our new building. The broadband champion for the BEAD grant, so I get all the coordination of information from that. In regards to our New North partnership, and I've been working with Jesse somewhat on that too. We've got some things to get together in order to get some broadband stuff out in and amongst our county. And then I do general day-to-day management of our network and servers that are there. Jacob Hansen is my assistant. He works with me together. Overall, I didn't start out with this, but we have about 350 some employees here at Waushara County. We manage about 200 and some computers total, and I have about 50 servers that we manage, and then we're adding a bunch of switches into that. So Jacob on a day-to-day basis handles all the normal daily phone calls from people from whatever issues they may have. He's also created a ticketing system for buildings and grounds that utilize to manage all of their current issues and things that come in. People have problems, they go into the ticket system, add that. He manages all of that, created all that from scratch. He also created an asset system that is doing IT inventory. So any new equipment, things that come in, old equipment, stuff that we have is all in that inventory system. It can be tracked. It's able to give us reports and tell us when things need to be replaced. He also created a check-in, check-out board for the Human Services Department and for Aging Department. They were currently using they were using a system that had been around since 2012 and before. It was very old and antiquated and didn't do a very good job. So he was able to create that, implement it, and give it out to those departments to be able to utilize, and they use that to track their people in and out. He designs and maintains our monthly newsletter that goes out to all of our employees and to you guys as well. And he is in charge of taking care of that. Something that he's very passionate about, he really enjoys doing, and he had asked to be a part of that. So he does a really good job. And then again, he does the general day-to-day maintenance for any kind of help desk or any kind of things like that. We procured $1.5 million worth of IT assets this year, which is a substantial amount of money investment. We invested in what's called Pure Storage, which is a storage system that has a once and done. So you buy the hardware one time and then you don't ever have to buy the hardware again. It's maintained on a yearly basis. Every 3 years, they replace pieces and parts. So all we have to do is pay for the maintenance, the yearly maintenance. After that, currently our purchase was through 2029, so we won't have to buy any of that maintenance until 2030 is when we start maintenance in on that. So that was something that we invested in. We invested in what's called a Palo Alto, a next generation firewall. It replaced our existing Cisco firewalls this year. It runs on a dual system, a failover system. So if one goes down, the other one takes over, and they run in a passive system. So they are taken care of. We invested in a Vertiv Smart Row. I'll have a picture of that here in a minute, which is the new data center at our new government center. So that is there. We have Aruba network switches that we're implementing this year to replace our Cisco switches. And we went from having currently about 20 switches. We're gonna, with the new building, everything in place, we'll have about 70 switches overall for all the buildings and everything that's involved. And then we, excuse me, we invested in some new phone servers that cover our phone system, and also some new phones that are getting implemented when we move. The following picture, this is our new server room over at the government center. It's up and running, fully functional, and all of our equipment and everything for IT is currently in that room and being serviced out to the current courthouse. It'll do all the new courthouse and everything too. So I just wanted to put a picture out there. Some of you guys have seen that when we did some walkthroughs with the government center, but this is fully functional, up and running, and doing the things that it needs to do right now. This slide here is we utilize a software service called Arctic Wolf. Currently, it does scans of our network traffic in and out. So everything that goes into our network and out of our network is scanned by Arctic Wolf. These are done on the back end. So they've done, just at this one slide, was 237 investigations, 135 reported incidents, and there's just a general synopsis of some of the things that they caught. As you are aware, ransomware, those kind of things are prevalent in the world that we live in today. People can click on an email and cause major havoc over an entire network over a really long time. This assists us in tracking those things. If any kind of stuff was to get infiltrated in our system, this catches it, hopefully before it gets there. Again, we're only as good as our weakest person, though, and that's just the way it goes. This little slide just covers some of the things that Arctic Wolf monitors. So we have an agent on every system that gets monitored for the traffic. We have sensors that are out there, and they monitor our logs and our firewalls and our servers. And our Office 365 is also monitored by the Arctic Wolf. In addition, we have other software, security software that we've put into place. Proofpoint is our email filter and security awareness training. We have WebRoot currently for our endpoint protection. ForcePoint is our web filter. And again, the Palo Alto firewall has built-in systems that monitor URLs and just monitors traffic in general and just keeps the bad stuff out. And then we have our Okta for our two-factor authentication that is covered as well in with our security. So we do two-factor authentication for anything that is outside of our network. If you're here in the building, you log in, you don't have to utilize that. If you're outside of our building and you connect to a VPN or you log into your email outside of our building, then you have to re-authenticate with that two-factor authentication. It just verifies that people are who they say they are. Looking to the future for things, of course, we have a brand new building that we're trying to get into, and we are going to be moving into that. In and amongst that, we'll be deploying about 100 new computers in 2024 as part of that building project and getting things in. We're putting in our new switches that'll get up and running. The plan as of right now is the first week of January, we'll be putting in the network over at the highway department. So we'll be installing all the new switches there. The first week of March is the plan to install all the switches in the new government center. So that network will be up and running. The overall goal is to have the network fully functional, to have computers that can be working and make the move as seamless as possible when we actually move people, to work out some of the bugs prior to people actually getting into the building. It's the benefits of being able to be in there, having the network up and running, is we can do a lot of testing and a lot of things before people actually show up to the building. And then we're working through some IT security policies that we'll be bringing to the board sometime in 24 to implement some changes and some policies there as far as that goes. That's pretty much all I have for a recap. Does anyone have any questions at all? Is everybody's eyes glazed over because we've talked about technology now? And I thought it'd be a good idea to give you guys an idea of the investment in technology, what it's doing, and what we've done and what we've spent, and those kind of things of what we do to try to protect people from the bad stuff. So,
I got a question for you.
yeah.
At the sheriff's department in the basement, there's a rack with these silver tubes that looks almost like a reverse osmosis system. What is that?
So those are radio racks. I don't manage those. That's managed by our radio people, but those are those have to do with the towers and the radio towers and the transmissions of data through the radio system. I'm really not that familiar with them, but I've seen those and I don't have to deal with them, which I'm pretty happy about.
All right. Thanks.
Anything else?
Any other questions for Barry?
If you need any help on install, Bob said he'd be
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Well, you know how complicated, just the overall IT is, and you think of every single department has kind of its own
Right.
systems going. So, if you ever worked with these, either Jacob or Barry, they're invaluable to us. So thank you very much, Barry. Appreciate it. Okay, very good. We'll move on to B, discussion possible motion action items. I is the 2024 through 2026 contract with EMS employees, Union Local 425 IAFF. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Piaski. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Peterson. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, then we can go ahead and vote on that.
My computer's dead.
Yeah.
You want mine, Pat? Mine's still going.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Very good. Item 2, the opioid settlement proceeds request, BolaWrap device for City of Watoma Police Department. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Eckstein. Is there any discussion? Anybody need any clarification on that?
Didn't Ruth have a demonstration on this?
Yeah, let's see it.
I thought that would be a great idea, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So instead, I brought cookies to wake you up after Barry's presentation. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Look
my
out for the
computer, he
bugs.
doesn't take care of it except when it's broken. I'm on a different server. I two-factor authenticate all the time, even when I'm here, because I'm in the state system. So we have about $48,000 unallocated money. We have about $80,000 not spent yet. Some of that is allocated to things that you've already approved, that are things that come in once in a while, like the sober living we approve for so many people for 1 month's rent. And so far we've only paid for like 2. And the recovery coach, we've paid 3/4 of that. We have 1 more quarter of that. So this is about $2,000, but because it's not on your list of priorities. And then in January, I'll come with a full breakdown of everything that we've spent over the last year.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I've got just a couple of questions, and I don't think there's anybody from the city to answer questions.
Chief Mott is not here, but I can try to answer.
So when was the last time in the city of Wautoma someone was tased with an opioid addiction?
Okay, that question I can't answer. But I do know that it happens, only because I have seen it's come across with some of our reports, talks about it, or like the med clearance then piece factors in. So, but I don't know the last time.
So does this open up, does this set a standard now that the city of Wautoma wants this device, and then the city of Wild Rose will want this device, and then the city of Columba's gonna want this device, and then Wally's gonna come to us and say, I need 50 or 60 of these devices?
I would say that the sheriff probably will come and ask for one at some point in time, maybe. Right now, the sheriff's department is 24/7. The city of Wautoma is getting close to being back to 24/7 because they've hired some new people and have more staff. The rest of our municipalities are not 24/7. So I don't know.
And these are all coming off of the opioid settlement, yeah.
I'm concerned that we're setting a standard that we're not gonna go back on. Can I ask Wally to come up and give us his opinion on it?
Sure. You wouldn't mind?
I've been asked to purchase bull wraps 4 years in a row, and I declined on that offer because we have tasers already, and tasers are an effective tool for us to use. So I decided not to go with the bull wrap with our agency because it's just another tool. What are we going to use? And I want to be very clear. If we go to the taser, we're not going to the bull wrap, and it's very confusing. All of a sudden, we have all of this gear.
Mhm.
So I've chosen not to. So I don't think it's a
Any other pros or
well
cons for,
for my department.
any pros or cons to them, or nothing?
I don't.
The
The pro to be
To stop somebody?
right,
Yeah. Mhm.
exactly,
Mhm.
and the con would be financial part for a department of my size to purchase one
Mhm.
for all of the staff and for the jail. So that would be the issue that I would have. And then how do we the other departments? Where does this go?
Mhm.
Is everybody gonna want one then? And I know how it goes.
Sure.
Because if one asks for it, everybody asks for it, and because if it's cool, somebody else had to have one. So when I've seen them on the news, and I just assume stick with the tasers as we're going with taser 10s now. So that's where I'm going to be at with that.
Okay. Pat, did you have a question?
From what I understand, if somebody is high, and they get a taser, they could be killed. Could kill. That's why they want this
That's
bull
why
wrap.
just to speak on it, I know that was the reason for it, and for the last couple of days, been trying to find that statistic, and I can't find that. There's no statistics out there that shows that someone being on opioids has a higher risk of a heart attack than somebody that's not. It could be out there. I've looked for 2 days. I can't find that anyplace unless somebody else knows of it.
I haven't looked that up in particular, but opioids do increase your heart rate. So your heart is already acting over capacity when you're on an opioid. So then you put an electrical charge on it that would have a different effect than a person whose heart is acting normally. But certainly, if you would like more information, if you would like me to have the city come back and answer some of those questions, I would recommend that, we table this until January and we can get some of that additional information for you. Or if you just want to deny it, that's fine too. It's your choice.
Nope.
Yes, Everett.
I have a question of Wally. What would that do to my pacemaker?
They say it doesn't affect it,
Yeah.
but it could, like anything.
Okay. I mean, electrical.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
taser. Yep. So
Thank
Taser stands by their product 100%. They stand the legal team if there ever is an incident and there's a death in custody with them. So we really count on our medical staff, right, for our officers to recognize somebody in that state of delirium, and maybe not use that device to
Mhm.
take control. So, yeah, it's one of those.
Well, it comes down to training too. Mhm.
It's our medical clearance, right? We rely on our medical clearance to really recognize some of those symptoms if somebody's in that state. I pulled up the last 6 months, we've used our tasers effectively 5 times. I don't know what the city has done. I don't keep track of their department, so that's with ours. And ours were, I look back, they were all alcohol-related offenses, domestics. There was a OWI where somebody was tased, not compliant. They were combative, tried to assault the officer, they were tased. So that's where I would not want the BOLA wrap, right? Because it's going to be confusing.
Confusing, be too many implements there. Yeah. Okay. So is there paralysis?
And
Is there anybody want to make a
Yeah,
motion to table?
And the only other comment I just wanted to make, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The only other comment I wanted to make was I think the spirit of this money was for treatment and prevention. You know, for opioid too, not for try to buy equipment for taking out a suspect is my only other opinion on that too.
I share that. I was just wondering if you could remind us of the settlement itself and where we're sitting with funding on that.
So, so far, we have gotten, we got 4 years worth of Janssen payments. We got 2 years of the distributor payments, and we've gotten, 1 payment from the 2 payments from the, Valancourt bankruptcy. So, the Janssen and the distributors come right through the, they still have 10 years left on the distributors and 12, I think, on Janssen's because they prepaid. Theirs was supposed to be longer, but they prepaid 4 up front. The Valancourt bankruptcy case is actually coming through a different portal because that money is going directly to the state and then the state is distributing it to us. So I'm not 100% sure how many payments we will get from that because that's being divvied up by the bankruptcy attorney or trustee. We have not yet received a payment on the settlement with the pharmacies, which we talked about a few months ago. That is apparently still at the federal district court level getting worked out when that's supposed to come. They had thought that we would start to receive payments yet this year, but we have not received a payment yet from that settlement. And then yesterday during the WCA call, they were saying that the bankruptcy court that is handling the it's farm is close to telling, they are working with the Stacklers about how much money of their personal assets they need to pay into the trustee in order to fund that. And so then we'll be getting more money on that. So this year we received about another $20,000 so far. And it looks like we should anticipate receiving that amount of money for the next several years. So, but we have $48,000 that are unallocated, and our balance though is like closer to $80,000 because of those few that have not met everything that has been approved yet.
Okay.
Did I see on these two that there is some like reload, items for this BOLA wrap or whatever, like accessories that will they have to be reloaded or whatever, when they use them. So, I don't know how that, if they would be looking for that as well. So they aren't right now. A little bit they did, but not, as the years go on, they need more. So, but I guess if you want more information, I would encourage you to table it. Otherwise, we have had a motion in a second. So
Sounds like a money pit to me, that's all.
okay, is there any other discussion or does anybody want to table it for more information? Okay. Hearing none, then we can proceed to vote.
Yay. Yay.
See. Okay, the motion fails. All right, and we'll move into C, consideration possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. Resolution number 22-12-23, resolution authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Mr. Waddle, second by Mr. Bossard. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Resolution number 23-12-23, resolution to hire an agronomist for zoning and land conservation department funded by FWWA subaward grant dollars. Okay, motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Piaski. Is there any discussion? This is a fully funded position. Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 24-12-23, a resolution to clarify disposition of health insurance funds budgeted for 2024. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Peterson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Cap. All right. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on that.
Yes. Yay.
Okay, the resolution passes. Resolution number 25-12-23, resolution authorizing reorganization of the Parks and Buildings and Grounds departments to create one new department, Facilities and Parks Management. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Eckstein. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Peterson. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Okay, resolution number 26-12-23, requesting money from the general fund to be transferred to the IT department to cover the cost of audit tracking assistance. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Eckstein. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Kirschner. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's all of our business. I would remind you, if you're planning to run again, or if not, those appropriate papers need to be filed. And what's the dates for sure?
Checking in my office by 5 o'clock. Anybody who's not planning to run, file your nomination.
Okay.
Mark your calendar for EMS random opening next month before county board, and county board will still meet here.
Okay. Is there any board suggestions for future agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, then I would take a motion to adjourn. Okay, Mr. Eckstein, is there a second? Second by Mr. Peterson. Very good. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I have a request. I left my non-candidacy papers at home. Does anybody have a non-candidacy paper with them that I can fill out and turn in? Do you have one? Thank you.
Yep. You all of you have a Merry Christmas too.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Oh, shut this down. Yeah, yeah. 81 years old. That's enough. And we're gonna do a little
I'll probably-
traveling.
I'll
We
probably
gotta
be
send out to Washington State and,
Yeah.
so we're gonna take
Best idea ever.
the kids hate the idea of us driving out there. You take 3-4 days to drive out and the same coming home and,
in my
Well, I gotta sign.
toolbox. I think I can.
yeah.
Coach shows
And we're
up
not
with a hammer.
stupid. We're not gonna get in any place where we'll get in trouble, you know.
Small ball peen to a big sledgehammer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, for me, the huge thing is that it creates almost screwed up.
Yep. Watch for deer.
Second, non-lethal.
I think 7 o'clock instead of 6.
I would not had an electrician there.
Good report.
Nice.
I didn't know really what the thought was,
John?
but I figured I should brag on.
Can you just mark me tardy instead of not here?
What's that?
Can you just mark me tardy